I love my running, but I also love doing it with other people. And I leave that community with like a sense of feeling good because I've just had proper conversation, which I just think is missing from my daily lives.
You know, it's so apparent now that we have got a community. It's not just a running club. It is that place where you just have a bit of a moan. You release some stress. You're not out just running. You're just saying, how's your week been? What are you struggling with? You know, it is that place where people feel safe.
And it's people coming together to connect over their mental health, not necessarily their physical health. And it's people just coming together to make sure there is one moment in their week where they feel good.
Welcome back to the RunThrough Podcast. Slightly different one today. And we're usually a single guest podcast, but we've got two amazing guests today. We've got Amy and Tom. I think we are going to do what we usually do and get you guys to introduce yourself. That thing's that everybody loves to do. Amy, we'll start with you. Can you just tell me who you are, just a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so I am a runner, which 10 years ago I wouldn't have said that was the case. But I am a runner. I'm a mum. I used to work at Women's Health for 10 years, so I've had a career that's rooted in running and fitness. And these days, though, I do most of my running after two boys. But I recently ran a race with RunThrough, which I'm hoping we're going to get into today.
Yes, we definitely are. And Tom, give us a bit of a background to who you are as well.
My name's Tom. Me and Amy are friends, and we've known each other for 20 plus years now, through my sister. And I say I'm a runner. I'm new to the game. I'm only about 18 months to 2 years in, and I'm a dad of 5. I've got 5 kids, so keep very busy. And recently done the Swindon Half through RunThrough with Amy as well, and looking forward to some more events.
So I think let's start with that because look, there's loads I want to get into with each of you, but I think the Swindon Half is the thing that's obviously introduced us and made this connection as well. To start with, Tom, I'm gonna ask quite an open question here because I think it's a good way to start it. Why were you at the Swindon Half, and kind of introduce me to the run club that you created as well?
Yeah, so very, very sadly, on the 11th of June this year, my brother-in-law, my sister's partner, passed away. He unfortunately died due to suicide, and he was an amazing person. They were Dave Reynolds. He was the smile that you just lights up a room, so positive, happy. And the main thing, he was the most incredible runner. He was just the most incredible runner. I mean, he'd done, I think I spoke to my sister, 6 marathons. Manchester, he'd done 3:03. I'm pretty sure he'd done a 3-hour marathon after a hangover as well. So it was second nature to him. And it was just a massive shock to everyone. Amy was obviously very close to him as well. And the network around Swindon that knew him were just devastated, when it happened. So I was asked to do a few words at the wake, and I thought there's no better way to celebrate him and continue to celebrate him and start a running club. So it was a bit spur of the moment. I didn't know where it was going to go. Called it the DRC, Dave's Running Club. And it was literally 2 days after the wake, and we had 10, 12 people there straight away. Some people never ran before. And that was 12, 13 weeks ago. And every week since then, it's on a Sunday. We've now got a WhatsApp group of about 80 plus people up and down the country, people in different parts of the world. We've got people in Stockholm, up north. And the Swindon RunThrough Half Marathon was just a really good event just to bring us all together. We raised loads of money for Mine, Swindon and Gloucestershire, which was amazing. And since then, it's just been going strong. It's been getting bigger and bigger. Amy, you've been on the run, so, she knows what it's like. We've got speakers. We got, me shouting at everyone, trying to motivate people on a Sunday morning. But it's just the most incredible way through Dave's family, my sister, to continue to remember him and inspire everyone, inspire me just to keep getting out there, keep running. There's some amazing stories for people that have never run before and run the Swindon Half, which I'm happy to go into later on. But it's just been great, and I want to just keep it going and get bigger and bigger, really.
Amy, for you, like throughout
Yeah.
your career, and we'll touch on some of those touch points in a little bit, but you will have seen some amazing stories, right? But you're involved in one here. You're part of this story. To see the impact that what Tom has done, like in the short term, and what that impact has already had. What is that like for you that has been in this world for quite a while?
I think because of my career, I've always seen movements happen top down. So
Okay.
they've generally come from brands, they've come from experts, they've come from people with big platforms. And I think what's been amazing to watch this time is actually it's grassroots up, and it's people coming together to connect over their mental health, not necessarily their physical health. And it's people just coming together to make sure there is one moment in their week where they feel good. And that feeling good, like, it's different for everyone within the group. So some people are coming because actually they actually want to better themselves as a runner. So you've got people that are chasing mile times already. You've got people that are chasing distances, but also you've got people coming that just actually want some connection and just want to be part of something. So they just want to come and they want to run for 20 minutes. And I think that's amazing to see that actually that unifying kind of theme of just feeling good within yourself from a community level can actually just build outwards. So like Tom said, it was like 12 people in the beginning, and now honestly the pack in Swindon, you will hear them before you see them, because they are loud and proud, and like Tom said, there's speakers, there's like shouting, there's everything, but it's just growing and growing. And that's just amazing to see that actually you don't have to be an expert in something to find or create something within running. It can just come from like a passion point, which I think is really nice to see.
I think that's the beauty of it, right? Because as you've already said, Tom, like everybody will have their own story, and there were some amazing stories at the Swindon Half, and I'm sure there will be continuing stories for new people that join the club as well. And you yourself have your own story. You've got your reasons why you started Dave's Run Club. In terms of the memory of Dave and how you feel on a week by week basis, I know we're still very early days, but does that give you that touch point every week to kind of reflect back on what's happened over the last few months?
Yeah, it really does, and more for my sister, who she's feeling the pain, and Dave's family feeling the pain a lot more than me. But to see her struggle, unfortunately, day to day, because of what's happened, but then to see her on a Sunday is a different person, and that is the motivation. And it's the same for everyone. There are some tears on a Sunday. We'll mention his name. We'll mention that if you're struggling, he's there by your side. He's got, a saying. I think everyone says it. Don't worry, just keep breathing. That's what he used to say to people when they were helping running. So, and it is the motivation for me, not just to get people out there, but to see how it helps people on a Sunday. With I think 13 weeks now, and we haven't missed a day, and people are there every day, and it just helps them. And for me as well. It's helped me just never going to forget him ever, but to help every week know that I need to turn up for him. It's for him, and I'm motivated for him and for other people. But to see my sister on a Sunday, to see her smiling, to see her catching up with people, is just as much motivation that I need to just keep doing it.
It's that greater purpose piece, isn't it? And I think, as Amy's already said, that kind of community building element, you kind of see things fall by the wayside occasionally if they don't have that bigger purpose at their core. And I think obviously what you have already is that bigger purpose, and you're starting with that purpose rather than trying to kind of find that purpose. And I think everybody in the running world, if they don't have that purpose, I know obviously this has come from a negative thing that has happened, but it has given a purpose to the club and to what you guys are doing. It's an important thing to kind of look for that purpose sometimes, because I think sometimes if you don't have that, it actually can make the journey very difficult. And that's not only in the running space, but in kind of like your own mental headspace as well. Amy, I know like your running journey's changed over the years. When you first came to the running world and to what you to why you run now, like talk to me about the difference in that and why you do it.
So 10 years ago, I was probably the fittest I've ever been, and not just because I was in my 20s rather than knocking on the door of my 40s, but because, you know, I was working in a job where I was very fortunate that actually the majority of my work was rooted in fitness. So I had a lot of my week was going out and meeting trainers and like trying out trends, etc., etc. But despite being like uber fit, I never really connected with running. I always felt that I wasn't a runner deep down. So I would get on a treadmill and run. I would run on the top speeds at Barry's, and like put me in that kind of environment, I was great. But put me out on the road, I just felt like it was uber exclusive, and I wasn't a runner. And so anyway, the Runners World team, I was fortunate to work like alongside the Runners World team in the office, and one day an invite landed on my desk to run London Marathon. And essentially they wanted somebody to run it, and they wanted to cover the story from basically starting from the beginning with a marathon training plan. And part of me really wanted to do it. And part of me was like my ego being like, don't do this, you're not a runner. Thankfully, I silenced that. And I got on board and I ran the London Marathon. And it was that journey going from like only using running to burn calories to using running to achieve something. Not just the final distance of the 26, but or 26.2, I should say, but more the actual like 16 weeks of training, like making myself get out there in the winter when it was raining and being like, you can do this. And just showing up time after time. And I still remember breaking like the 60-minute run and then breaking like the 2-hour run. And so that journey over those kind of 4 months was when I really connected with running, and actually how I really felt that it became this new relationship with fitness and exercise. And it was from there that actually I then went on to do more races and more runs and challenge myself in different ways. But it's actually now that I know I've just run a half marathon, but that was the first one in a long time. But it's that piece and that relationship of actually using running to feel better about myself or to solve problems, if you like, which is what running does for me still today. So even on Monday night, I'd had a bit of a rubbish day. You know, you don't move from your laptop and, you know, winter's set in, you're just feeling a bit, and so I knew what I needed to do was just get outside and run. So I have a bit of a guilty pleasure these days where I put on terrible music to most people. The type of music that if like my phone disconnected from my headphones and played just out of my phone, I'd be like, dear God. But put on some musicals and just ran in the dark, in the slight drizzle, and ran until I felt like I wanted to turn back. So there was no like tracking to it. It was just about how I felt. And I came back and I was a so much better parent and partner to my husband that evening from just having that time outside to just leave everything behind, get outside, do the thing for me, and then come back. And so today that's what running is about. Although I do now feel that as I've come out of like under the rock of like the early parenting years, I am ready to get back to like some proper training and put a challenge in the diary next year, because I do like having like a focus to it when time allows.
I think that's so important though, to kind of talk on that kind of changing nature of what running can be for everybody, because as you say, like at the start of your journey, it was to get to that London Marathon in the first instance. Then it became like that problem solving piece to what you were using it for as you were kind of coming through early parenthood. And now maybe there is another stage to it, but that's the beauty of it. Like, I think it can always be there in every facet of your life, and it kind of just, it changes and it molds to you, and that's what it should be. And Tom, obviously you're very much at the start of your running journey at the moment, so you're getting all of these amazing benefits for the first time. do you ever look at it now and think, oh, I kind of wish I'd started this a little bit earlier, actually?
Yeah,
No.
I do.
Is
But
I know.
to be fair, I played a half decent level of rugby for 15 years, and
I could have told you that.
whenever there was any form of pre-season or running, I hated it. And I, even after playing rugby, I thought I'll go and play golf because, you know, it gets me out of the house, and exercise was going to the gym. And then I stumbled across Couch for 5K, only really a few years ago. And I don't know, just got the bug, and I just loved it. And it was just the you know, starting at the bottom and doing the Couch 5K, doing the small runs. And now I really just love it. And I'm not just because of the running club. I mean, I done my first 10K only over a year ago. And I ran it with my wife, who I won't be running with again because she shouted at me a lot and said, "You're basically not even running. You might as well just stop." That was her motivation, but it got me over the line. That's fine. So and I felt great from that. And then I signed up for the Swindon RunThrough on the back of that. Thought, and let's challenge myself. Let's go for the next one. There was a group of us doing it. And then, unfortunately, I had a friend at work who she sadly passed away suddenly, and we raised, our charity was Bristol Selfmead Hospital, so we'd done a lot of fundraising, walks and stuff, and they offered us some free places with 12 weeks notice to run the Bristol Half Marathon, which I wasn't ready for at all. But Dave thought I could do it, and he said, "Look, you know, go and back yourself. You know, you don't give yourself the time, just go out and do it." So put a training plan together. He helped me with my running shoes. I had shoes that are about 10 years old. I got some lovely Hockers, which I'm still obsessed with now. Helped me with all my gear. He helped me with training plans, and he helped me throughout to do that in May. And you know, I still remember the message that he sent me the day of, just to kind of say, you know, take the breaths, don't get carried away, take in lots of water, and, you know, and the message he sent me after can congratulate me through it all. So then Swindon was it was all about him. And that was just, I mean, me and Amy run it together. I was dreading the Swindon half, just because I felt with Bristol, I was there. I was I'm not the best runner. I'd done Bristol in 2 hours and 23 minutes, which I was really happy with. I want to do under 2:30. But Swindon, I have a real big battle with food, and eating. Running gets me on track. If I go for a run, I know I can eat well and be good. So if I keep running, but it's just been really hard with Dave, and, you know, life is like, so I was fairly out of shape coming into Swindon. But it was one of the best runs I've ever done. And honestly, it was, Amy, you were there listening to me shouting at you a lot of the time. But people think half marathon. I was just like, I loved it. I literally loved every minute of it. It was hilly, it was difficult, but it was one of the best events I've ever done.
I think there was what I took as well. Yeah, it was hands down the best run that I've ever done. But I think what I took from that event is the fact that, because I hadn't done any training, so like past me would be like eye rolling and being like, "You're ridiculous to go out and run a half marathon when you've barely not done any training." I kind of got injured in the summer, and I put this race like in the back of my mind. And then 2 weeks before, I got a message to say from Tom's sister saying like, "Are you still running?" And I was like, "I haven't done any training." And she was like, "You can absolutely do it, because people still remember me being super fit." So I did the thing of going on ChatGPT and saying to ChatGPT, "I have a half marathon in 2 weeks. Can I do this? I've done barely any training." And ChatGPT's response was like, "Well, I wouldn't advise it. But if you can run a 10K, you might just get through." So next day I got up and I ran the 10K, and I was like, I got through the 10K, that hurt. But like, you know, I'm like, knowing what I know, I was just like, I can do this. As long as I slow down, I take walk breaks, I fuel properly, I can get through this and probably not get injured. So I turned up on the day, and actually it was amazing to do the race, but not race it and just run it. And I wish more people knew about that actually, yes, it is a race and there is people sprinting to the finish line, if you like, but actually you can just be part of the people running. And it's really nice not to run with a watch. Like I wasn't tracking whatsoever. And actually I didn't have my headphones in. And that was the first time I've done an organized event and not had headphones in. And I've done quite a few of them. And I wasn't eyes down, I was eyes up, and like listening to Tom motivate him and shouting at the crowds, the report, and just taking in all of these people that had come out on the streets to support. And so I actually felt like I was really part of it that day. Whereas before, I felt like I've just been racing to the finish line because it's all been about a time. So I just would say to anyone who's listening in, like, yes, you can race these things, but you can run them and you can just enjoy them. And as long as you do it safely, then, they're the greatest training plans out there in the world, but just do what you can.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's something we've talked about on this podcast a lot, is like giving yourself that grace, right? Like not every race is going to be your best race, and not every race should be your best race. Also, like I've definitely fallen foul to this over the years of running. You sometimes, I've definitely not raced because I've thought, oh, I'm not going to achieve this thing that I want to achieve, and then regretted it, because my favorite ever races have been those ones with friends, the runs that I've been on with mates that I've really forgot about any time. And I think a lot of people will have felt that, but just need to remind themselves of it from time to time, that it's not always about chasing that time. And like from a personal experience, I do want to run a certain time for a marathon. Once that's done, I genuinely, hand on heart, will say, like, I don't want to try and run another fast marathon, fast for whatever it is to you, because I don't enjoy it. Like, it hurts. It's not nice. Like, I'd prefer to go and run. This sounds mad, but like, I'd prefer to go and run 50 miles, like an ultra marathon, but take my time and have a nice day rather than run a flat out 10K. Like, because the one is much more horrible than the other. And I think that what I'm already getting from this conversation with you two is kind of, it's that purpose of doing it and that reason behind doing it that has kind of got you to that position of, look, like you said, Tom, I might not be in the best shape right now to do this event, but I'm going to go and do it anyway. I'm going to enjoy it, and I'm going to remember Dave whilst I'm doing it. And I think that's incredibly like an incredibly inspiring message to be sharing. Tom, when you said about your shoes, I was like, he's not still running in his boots, is he? I was thinking, like, that was the first thing that I thought, just hearing that. Best sound in the world, by the way.
Great on concrete. They work really well.
Best sound. Tom, I want to go back to obviously Dave and the reasons you started this, started the Run Club, and kind of like touch on you really a little bit more. Like, we've talked about the reason behind the club and kind of it that we still have that memory on a week by week basis of Dave, but you personally, this must be a big struggle and change in your life, and obviously your wife's life as well. How are you managing to deal with something so big happening in your personal life?
Yeah, it's still a struggle. Day to day, I only just got off the phone to my sister, and the tears were flowing. So it's not, it's been a massive struggle to our lives, and with any loss, it's going to be like that. But for the loss of the man that he was is even more heartbreaking, and not knowing that there were problems and not being able to, everyone you speak to will think, oh, what could I have done more, or what could I have, how could I have helped? So it has, it's our family, when something like this happens, it's been really rough. It's been the hardest kind of 3-4 months. And for Dave's family as well. I mean, he's got 3 amazing brothers, mum, dad, and they're all just really, really are struggling. And it never is going to, be better. But the message is that his mum's on the running group, You know, his brother's on the running group, so she sees what we're doing. She sees, you know, the mentions that he has, the power that he has, the random people that will pop up from years of knowing him saying, you know what, I've been out for a run and I remembered this of Dave. So the memories are so good to pop up in that group every now and again if you're having a low day. And I think it showed me how important running is. You know, I did that 10K and, you know, I thought, oh, it's good because, you know, I want to get healthier and all this sort of stuff. But I don't suffer with any mental health. I have the stresses. But the start of the year, Dave actually rolled his ankle and his running was his release. It was his way of just getting out, you know, him getting out there and just taking that stress that most people didn't know about. And he wasn't able to run, which we do all think that was, unfortunately, you know, got to the point where he wasn't running, he wasn't releasing, and got too much for him. So I can see that now. I can really, really see that. And the people that turn up on a Sunday, I can see it for them. I can see, like, yeah, I'm having a bad week and coming out, feel much better. And I do it myself, as Amy said, you know, you're having a bad day, you go out for a run. But the power, I see that now, people are struggling, and I want to try and raise awareness. I want to try and get people talking. The idea was, and to start this running group, is to have a place to share, have a place to say, look, I'm having a bad week. You know, my job's stressing me out, money's stressing me out, and just have that person or group there. You know, we sometimes get 30 people on a Sunday now turning up, and some people don't know each other. They just have a chat and talk, and I hope that, like, helps. It's never going to be the same without him. And Jenny always said, my sister, that he would have hated all the attention. He was the best looking guy you've ever seen. I'm not joking. He had long hair, beautiful smile, smelled great all the time, looked great all the time. But he hated it. He hated any attention. You compliment him, and he's like, no. And all the stuff that, you know, went, you know, ever since, he would have hated the attention. But Jenny said, one thing he would have loved is that he's inspired people, children. You know, we've got 4 or 5-year-olds kept turning up on a Sunday, forcing their parents out of bed because they've got to turn up for the DRC, Dave's Running Club. He would have loved that. That would have been his thing to say, you know what, I'm happy with that. I'm happy to get people out. And yeah, it's just, again, the stories that I could share in the personal experiences through the group, Amy doing it 2 weeks notice. One of Jenny's friends, Holly from Sweden, she come down for the weekend. She come to the Dave Running Club. We done it on the Saturday before the run. So we just thought we'd do what do they call it? A day before a run? They call it
little shakeout.
We thought we'd do a shakeout. We've done a shakeout for the DRC because we can't miss a week. And there were 17 people actually running it from Dave's Running Club. And she turned up, she come to the DRC. She's done, I think, a half marathon, I want to say 3 or 4 months ago, but she's not run since. And she's like, no, I'm definitely not doing it. She's done Dave's Running Club on the Saturday. She messaged me a couple of hours later saying, is there any chance I can get a spot at Swindon Half Marathon tomorrow? And she ran it with Amy. She ran it with my sister. And again, it's just that stuff, stories like that just is so inspiring that's all him. You know, that is because of him. That is, you know, him getting people out and him motivating people to be better and push themselves, which, you know, I just love.
It's not just about the running, is it? And that's, I think, the message you're sharing. It's not, you know, it's not just about that. It's about the connections that are made through that as well. Because hopefully, if somebody does get injured or hurts themselves and needs that support, then they've got that support from the DRC. It's not just about those miles. It's about everything surrounding it, isn't it, Tom?
Yeah, exactly that. And I think it's, you know, it's so apparent now that we have got a community. It's not just a running club. You know, we've got people that, you know, I've met their kids. People just turn up, parents turn up, and just go for a dog walk and there for after to have a coffee. And, you know, we've got people posting in different parts of, you know, the country to say, yeah, done DRC for the day. And you're right, it is a place that it's hard to create a group. And I felt a bit, not cringy, but to say, look, it's a group where you can come and share. But it is that now, without me forcing it. It is that place where you just have a bit of a moan. You release some stress. You're not out just running. You're just saying, how's your week been? What are you struggling with? You know, I'm struggling with this, and that's why I love it, just because it is that place where people feel safe now. It's a big old group. It's getting bigger and bigger. So we'll have to get you on, Ben. We'll have to get you a special guest appearance at the DRC on Sunday.
I'd love it. I'd love to be part of the DRC. Amy, like that word community, and I go back to your career, right, and what you've done over the years. You will have heard that word a lot, because in this space, community, it's a buzzword, right? Everybody says community, 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 and I think often it's used in, I'm not going to say a negative way, but it's used in a way that to market things, right? But this does feel like true community. What the DRC is doing feels like that community, as you say, starting from the grassroots and kind of oozing its way through the members.
Yeah, so I think for so long there was like an appetite from brands and people really to be part of digital communities, and it was a real thing. But actually, I think we're living in a world where our life is so digitized that the real power of a community is offline these days. And it's like what Tom was saying, like, I think with run clubs, or just in real life clubs where there's movement involved, it does really inspire people to have better conversations, because you sit together. If you sit together, it's slightly awkward, isn't it? Just to start a conversation and be like, I'm having a really rubbish day with somebody you don't particularly know. But if you're on a run, there is already a distraction. Like, I feel conversation flows a bit easier between strangers. I've definitely felt that. I've recently joined a new run club in Winchester, purely because
how dare you?
Sorry, it's a Monday evening, it's not a Sunday. But because I wanted to be with people, like, I'm craving connection that isn't online. I'm craving offline connection. And like I've said, I love my running, but I also love doing it with other people. And I really find that during those moments, that hour, I have bits of conversation, which actually is, sometimes it can be deep, but a lot of the time it is just general chit chat. And I leave that community with like a sense of feeling good, because I've just had proper conversation, which I just think is missing from our daily lives. Like, the majority of us are working like hybrid working models where we're working from home. A lot of our communication these days, because of that, is really functional. Like, I'm not sure how much you guys feel this, but I feel that like conversations I have with co-workers is about tasks. There's like the loss of that like water cooler chat, for like want of a better phrase. And so actually these fitness communities which are building are really needed. Like, we need that as humans. And so yeah, I really think that, you know, anybody who's listening who's thought that, oh, running, you know, aren't running clubs just for people who like want to go to track or who want to like chase a time. No, they can be for anyone. And actually, like, if you're not local to Swindon, and there's, you know, you want to find one, there is one out there for you. And a lot of them, like the one I've joined on a Monday night, you don't run consistently for 60 minutes. Like, it's all about staying together as a group. So you stop at traffic lights, like everyone regroups. It's just about that shared experience. So there's one out there.
I love that. I love in that one. I love in that one, Amy. You said on a Monday night. Did you pick up on that one, Tom? Just making sure.
No,
it's
not Sunday. It's fine. Yeah. But going back to, and that's, I mean, starting the running club. I mean, I said I've only been running for 18 months. So what do you do in a running club? You know, I've never been a part of one. So it was a bit strange at the start, but we've got a real good structure now to it, and it just involves everyone. You know, we'll do 3 different locations on a round robin. We'll meet up. We'll do a warm up, which heavily involves star jumps, because that's all I really know. But I've started thinking out the box a little bit. But we all stand in a circle. The kids are involved. I've started actually prepping something rather than just doing star jumps and high knees, what I learned in rugby warm ups. And then we do loops. So we do 1 kilometre as a loop and back to the start. And that way, you know, the kids are involved. We've got 4 or 5-year-olds that do it like every week. We do another loop so they can do another kilometre if they want to push themselves. We'll then do another 2K loop or 3K loops, take it to 5, and then we'll kind of take it to 8 if we need to. And it's worked really well because, you know, as I said, they've got a little kid called Jacob, and his dad knew Dave and joined up. he's been there most weeks. And Jacob on Sunday, Ben was in bed. Jacob was out ready, waking his dad up saying, we've got to go to the DRC. We've got to go to the DRC. Now, this kid is, honestly, he could do probably 1K. Now, I got to, on Sunday, we got to 1.5K. And then he said, are we going to do a sprint finish? And I was like, if you want to do a sprint finish, we'll do it. The kid was gone. I mean, he's like 5-6 years old. I couldn't catch up with him. But just things like that. And it's just, I love it. And just seeing people turn up there. We've got my nephew at the moment doing a 60-day challenge on the DRC. So he's running every day, not very far, but he's just got these videos, and it's just the community there is there now. It's great to see.
I think what your point that you made a moment ago, Amy, is so important about that connection. And Tom, you can see it through your face when you're talking about those in-person connections, right? That is genuinely what it's all about, because as you say, we're kind of, a lot of us working through this hybrid model right now. Like, there's a lot of work from home, and it's a theme that's come up on this a lot, actually. And Amy, you will have seen this over your years of doing a podcast, and then obviously writing the book as well. Like, you have those themes that kind of come and go, don't you? And I think at the moment there is a real theme around loneliness, and that we could be falling into a little bit of a loneliness epidemic if we don't kind of try and get that human connection back in our life through things like the DRC. And I think that's a really important thing to talk about and to keep mentioning, because I think without people getting reminded constantly that you do need to get out and have that human connection, as well as that connection through a laptop, it's very, very, very easy to slip into a world where you aren't seeing anybody. And that is then where, the mental health problems and difficult times become very easy to slip into if you're not getting those touch points.
Oh, 100%. And don't get me wrong, I love the hybrid working for so many things it's brought to my life. But it was in the past year that I've really realized that actually, whilst there's loads of positives for it, there are quite a lot of drawbacks, and you just have to recognize them. And like you said, you've got to make sure you get outside. Like humans, we need daylight, we need fresh air. And whether that is a walk, a run, whatever, we also need the human connection. And men, I think one of the things we haven't mentioned, but the biggest killer of men over 40 is themselves. And that is just heart-wrenching. And so, the more that we can, I suppose, look within ourselves to find what tools we need to have that connection, to inspire conversation, to make sure that you've got support. And, for us at the moment, that is DRC, that is running, making sure the message reaches men in Swindon to come along. But actually for everyone listening, what can you put in your week? What do you need as a human to make sure that you feel that you can talk to somebody, and that you've got something also that you feel like a sense of accomplishment about in your week that isn't your work? I think that's the other thing as well. When you work from home, a lot of your day becomes around your work. And then I think there's probably quite a few of us that are guilty of just existing around work. So whether you have children or not, it might just be making breakfast, dinner, keeping the house tidy, whatever. And you actually have to really motivate yourself to go outside of that. But if you can, and you can put a run in your day or something, so that there is a sense of accomplishment that's just about you, I think that can be really powerful for, feeling good, mental health.
Schedule it in there. Put it in the diary.
Genuinely,
if you're struggling to do it, 100%. It's so important that we all get up and look at our Google Calendar straight away and think, I've got this. But it's you wouldn't cancel a management meeting. So don't cancel the run for yourself. If you want that, I think it's so important. And it's so weird, isn't it? Because for a lot of us, if we're struggling with time, the first thing we take out is anything for us. It's I don't need to do that. It's okay. I don't need to do that thing that I know makes me feel better. Yeah. And I think it's really important to kind of reframe that. Tom, you will have felt this. I grew up playing a lot of rugby as well. And when I actually stopped playing rugby in my second year of university, because of an injury, the thing that I craved and I missed was the boys, right? Like going out, having those conversations, being in the changing room. And I think for me, running and triathlon at that time replaced that, because I could do that. And I would imagine for you now, Tom, like having played rugby to the level you played and did what you did, probably the DRC is helping you replace that as well.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And you're exactly right. It's, people say they miss playing, but it is the lads twice a week in the week. And having that release again, having that companionship, having that, the banter, whatever it may be, for people that may be struggling there and you don't know, that helps them. And then Saturdays are just, you're right, it's the changing rooms, love the game, but it's having that group. And I definitely feel it now. I mean, I've made really, really strong friendships in the DRC, people that I would have never met. I would have met after maybe Dave's funeral or the wake, and we'll say, oh yeah, we'll stay in contact. It probably never happens. But now we've got a place where people are turning up every week and they are enjoying it, and they're not the best runners. We had someone turn up in the first week with, I think, Vans on, and it was great. But now, I like seeing him every week. I like catching up with him. I've known most people there now, and to have a bit of a laugh with, have a bit of banter. We had someone randomly turn up. We were in the park and he said, "Joanne, if I join along?" I said, "You crack on, come along." Started talking to him, and it was just great to have that. And I think it is massively important. They say, unfortunately, what Amy said is true. The statistics around men and mental health. I want to do as much as I can to raise awareness, whether it's the DRC. I've got a thing in my head where I want to do 12 half marathons next year, one a month. I've planned out through RunThrough which ones I can do. And I think it would be, to have that challenge in mind and to get the DRC involved as well would be great, because I think it just does help so much. You're right, having that run in mind for yourself, hold accountable. Sunday was a clear example. I did not want to run on Sunday. I woke up in the morning thinking, no, I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. But then because of the DRC, it got me there. And I literally had one of the best Sundays, had such a good day, had such a good run, set me up for the day, made me a better person. And it's weird to now think, if I had this conversation with me 2 years ago, I'd be like, what are you going on about? It's just a run. Don't get so drawn up about it. But now I feel the power. I feel the power of it, and I love motivating people. I do it at work now. I'm getting people out on a Wednesday. Last week I had World Mental Health Day on the Friday, and I was getting people out. We had a great. I mean, Amy, was you in the group? You saw it, didn't you? We had a great response. I was setting daily challenges for people. People were getting out. People were doing It was amazing, and then that sort of friendship, that group that we have now is just amazing.
Well, you've said it to the right person here, Tom. So we're gonna make that happen for sure. 12 half marathons in a year would be something so cool to do.
Well, actually,
you've got it. You've got
edit that
it.
Out.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not.
Let the record state that was Tom that signed up to that.
I'm going to need you, Amy. Come on, you're going to my motivation. You got me through Swindon. Get me through the other ones as well.
I've got this. I had this idea. I wanted to do it from the start of my birthday in the summer, and I haven't. But maybe I should start tomorrow. But years ago, I used to work with a colleague, and I will never forget. She did a challenge where she ran a mile a day, every day for a year. Yeah. I think it's a bit of a classic challenge that often trends in times. And actually this summer, I was like, do you know what? Wouldn't that be a great countdown to my next big birthday? 25, by the way. Yeah, of course. But I was like, maybe I should do that. And then I haven't started it. But I think I want that much to be my challenge, just because, like I said, going back to working from home, just to build something in to make me get out every day. And also knowing that actually, I think this is a really good moment to mention it, that yes, there are set distances that people often run for runs, like 5K, 10K, half marathon, but that you don't have to stick to those numbers in your week. So it doesn't have to be a 5K. It can just be 10 minutes. And at times in your week when it can be a 5K or it can be a training run, whatever, do it, but just don't always hold yourself account to what other people like, or like the set distances, like, you know, you make the rules in running. And I think that's why it's so hard to get into and stick to, because you don't have somebody like motivating you the whole time, unless you go to DRC.
That's what I was going to say.
Once you've got it and you realize that actually like running can just be a whole load of fun, as well as performance, but it can be a lot of fun, then that's when it becomes part of your lifestyle that you can tap into.
You make the rules is such a nice way of thinking about it, and I've never actually thought of it like that, but you genuinely do. Like, anytime you kind of move away from why you started doing it, you should always try and remember that feeling, and that's what I always try to come back to. It's like the feeling, right? And the feeling that you get from a run, it doesn't matter if you run a marathon or for 10 minutes. Like, if you can get that feeling from whatever you do for whatever length of time, that is what we should be chasing, and not necessarily all of the time those time goals and I need to do it for this reason. It's like, does it make you feel good? If it makes you feel good and if it helps you, then that's why you should do it. And also, it might not be running. Like, if it makes you feel really good to go swimming or play around a golf or, you know, whatever, it's always just drawing back to that feeling and drawing back to that connection. And I think that's what the DRC is doing. And I think that's probably a really nice place to round this off. I did want to ask you, Tom, because like looking forward, and I know this is all still incredibly raw, but in terms of the DRC, we've already kind of heard what you think, what Dave might have thought about it. He'd be like, I'd hate the attention. But for you, how do you see this moving forward? What is your goals with the DRC?
Yeah, I mean, again, it all seems still quite new, but it seems like we've been doing it for so long because we've got that group of people. But I want to get more people involved. I want it now to I'm going to start this social media training, just get that going, get people who are not linked to Dave, not linked to me, a part of it, and help other people, because you don't have to be linked to us or to Dave to be part of the group. So I want to get that going. I would just want to maintain it and then get another date in the diary for maybe another RunThrough event that we can all do. So we had 17 people, and I think most of them were their first half marathon, which, with a day's, 2 weeks notice is incredible. So I feel like another event would be good to get the DRC there. We're getting some tops, we're getting some branding. We're going to be representing Dave's brands. So yeah, obviously it's hard now coming into the winter months. It's, you can see a little bit of a drop off in numbers just because it's cold, it's wet, people got football clubs. But, I'm going to still be there showing up every week, not every day. I want to take it into next year. I want to start growing it, start raising awareness for people to be able to speak, release them endorphins, get out, and just continue to grow.
And let's finish it with Dave's words. What did he say? Just keep breathing.
Keep breathing. Just keep breathing. That's what he always used to say to us. And we say it every Sunday. Just keep breathing.
And it's just one step in front of the other.
One foot in front of the other.
It's just one foot in front of the other.